Welcome to the SmartKeys podcast.
It is great to be here.
Today we are tackling the absolute elephant in the room for pretty much every professional right now.
That tension.
Exactly. It is that tension we all feel every time we sit down at our computers. You know the feeling you have this mandate from leadership or maybe just this internal pressure to be faster, smarter, and more innovative using generative AI.
It's the adapt or die pressure.
Right. But at the exact same time, you have the legal and IT departments breathing down your neck. You are terrified of leaking proprietary data. You're scared of accidentally infringing on copyright, or maybe the worst nightmare of all.
Publishing something that sounds incredibly smart, but is actually a complete hallucination.
It is the classic gas pedal versus brake pedal scenario. And honestly, a lot of people just freeze up because they don't know where the line is.
They either use it recklessly or they don't use it at all and fall behind.
So to help us navigate this, we're doing a deep dive into a really comprehensive piece by Felix Römer from SmartKeys.org.
It is titled Generative AI Usage Guidelines, Balancing Innovation and Security. And what I think makes this source material so distinct is that it isn't just a list of don'ts.
I know.
It's actually a strategic framework. It pulls in data on the future of work, regulatory landscapes, and practical checklists to actually get work done.
That is our mission today. We are going to take these guidelines and turn them into a roadmap for you. We want to move you from just playing around with ChatGPT or Copilot to actually using them to get a competitive edge.
Without blowing up your organization's security in the process.
Exactly.
It is about moving from being a casual user to a professional steward of these tools.
So let's unpack this. I want to start with the landscape. Felix Römer's article makes a really important distinction right off the bat about what these tools actually are.
Right.
Because I think a lot of the operational risk comes from a fundamental misunderstanding of the mechanism.
We tend to anthropomorphize AI. We say it thinks, or it knows, or it reasoned. But the source materials is very clear about stripping away that magic.
Okay.
These tools are prediction engines. Specifically, they are large language models, LLMs, that predict the most likely next word or pixel based on massive amounts of training data.
So when I ask it a question, it's not looking up a database of facts like a search engine.
No, and that is the critical distinction. It is not retrieving information. It is generating a pattern that resembles information. They aren't thinking in the human sense. They are pattern matching at a scale we can barely comprehend.
Which explains why they're so good at some things and so dangerous with others. The article highlights the innovation side. These tools are incredible productivity accelerators.
For structural tasks, yes.
Structural tasks.
Exactly. If you need to brainstorm 10 angles for a marketing campaign, outline a complex report, or format a messy set of notes into a clean table, AI is unbeatable.
It speeds up the routine work. It gets you past the blank page syndrome.
It excels at structure and syntax, because that is what it was trained on, the shape of language.
But then comes the trade-off, the risk side. And it's not just about the robot getting a fact wrong.
No, the factual inaccuracy is a huge one. We call them hallucinations, but really it's just the model confidently predicting a pattern that looks true but isn't. But the bigger, more insidious risk that the article drills down on is privacy.
This is where we need to talk about the PACE test. This was one of my favorite practical takeaways from the text.
It's a great mental check.
It's a simple mental check you do before you hit enter on a prompt.
It is surprisingly simple, but effective. Before you paste anything into a prompt, you ask 3 questions. What is this data? Who can see it? And how might it be reused?
That last one, how might it be reused? That's one that trips people up.
It is.
Because we are used to software where if I type something into a Word doc, it stays on my hard drive. Or if I put it in a Google Doc, it stays in my private cloud.
But with public generative AI tools, you have to assume you are in a public forum. The article draws a hard line here between public tools and protected environments.
Okay, so if you are using a free public version of a tool like the free version of ChatGPT or some generic web chatbot,
your data is likely being used to train the model.
Let's clarify what train the model means for a listener who isn't a data scientist. If I upload a draft of a confidential quarterly report to summarize it, what happens?
You are essentially feeding that report into the brain of the AI. The model decomposes it, it learns the patterns, the specific phrases, and potentially integrates that knowledge into its future weights.
So, theoretically.
Theoretically, that information or snippets of it could surface in someone else's output later.
So if a competitor asks a question about my industry a week later,
It is unlikely they will get your report verbatim, but the model now knows what was in your report. You might as well be posting it on a billboard.
That is a terrifying thought. So the rule of thumb here is public tools are for public information.
Precisely.
If you wouldn't tweet it, don't paste it into a public AI.
Exactly. If the data is classified, proprietary, or personal, it cannot touch the public web interface.
Okay, let's move to the strategy. We know the risks. The source material outlines a set of generative AI guidelines that function almost like a pilot's pre-flight checklist.
Mm-hmm.
The first big principle is accountability.
This is the golden rule. The article states it clearly. If your name is on the paper, slide, or report, you are responsible for the output.
You can't blame the AI.
You cannot blame the AI for a bad stat. In a professional setting, saying, well, the bot told me so, is not a valid defense. It's like blaming your spell checker for a libelous statement.
And related to that is verification. There is a specific warning in the text that made me laugh nervously.
I know the one you mean.
It warns about perfectly formatted citations that don't exist.
Oh, that is a classic signal of risk. It goes back to the pattern matching concept we discussed. These models are trained on millions of academic papers.
Well, they know what a citation looks like.
They know exactly what it looks like. They know the font, the bracket style, the volume number format, and the typical names of journals in a specific field.
So the AI isn't looking up a real paper.
No, it is predicting what a citation should look like in that context. So it'll generate a citation that looks 100% legitimate.
Referencing a real author and a real journal.
But the actual article title is completely made up. It creates a ghost citation.
It's stylistic mimicry without factual grounding.
Which is why the guideline is verify everything. If there's a fact, a figure, or a quote, you have to trace it back to the primary source yourself. You have to reverse engineer the AI's work.
Now, for the listeners who are sitting there thinking, okay, but I need to use AI for sensitive work, my boss expects it.
Right, I can't do it all manually.
The article discusses enterprise safeguards. What should we be looking for to be safe?
You need to look for the shield. Specifically, the text mentions looking for the Enterprise Shield icon. This is referenced specifically regarding Microsoft Copilot, but the principle applies broadly.
And when you see that shield, it signals that you are in a protected environment.
It does.
What does protected actually mean technically? Is it just a marketing term?
No. It refers to specific data governance protocols. It means encryption is active both in transit and at rest. It means identity enforcement is on, so only authorized users can access it.
Okay.
And this is the most important part. There is no onward training of prompts.
No onward training. So my data goes in, the answer comes out, and then...
And then the data is flushed from the model's short-term memory, at least regarding training. Your data stays within your organization's tenant.
It doesn't go back to the mothership.
No, it doesn't go back to OpenAI or Google or Microsoft to teach the model how to write better code or emails for everyone else. It is a walled garden.
The source also mentions specific platforms for heavy-duty or highly sensitive work, right? It's not just about chatbots.
Yes. For things like health data or deep research, the guidelines point toward platforms like Azure OpenAI or Databricks.
And Databricks is IPA capable, it says?
It is. These are environments where you have audit trails, controlled access, and specific compliance certifications.
Speaking of HIPAA, let's talk about the regulatory landscape. The article lists a few acronyms we need to be aware of. FERPA, PIPA, GDPR.
It really simplifies the data handling rules. The rule is, do not upload student records, that's FERPA health data HIPAA, or personal information of EU residents GDPR into public web tools.
It seems obvious, but I can see how it happens.
It's so easy. When you are in a rush and just want a quick summary of a spreadsheet, it is easy to forget that the spreadsheet contains protected data.
So if you are looking at a messy Excel sheet of patient data or student grades, you can't just ask a public chatbot to clean this up.
Absolutely not. That is a compliance violation waiting to happen.
Yeah.
You need to use those approved provision platforms we just mentioned, or you need to anonymize the data completely before prompt engineering.
This feels like a good moment to zoom out. We are looking at this deep dive not just as a set of rules for today, but as a window into where the workplace is going.
Right.
The source material includes some really interesting visual data about the future of remote work and the landscape in 2026.
This is where it gets really interesting. The graphic breaks down specialized roles that are emerging. It shows that using AI isn't just going to be a soft skill everyone has.
It's becoming a dedicated profession.
A dedicated profession, yes.
One of the roles that jumped out at me was the AI prompt operations specialist.
Yes. Think about that title. It's not just someone who is good at chatting. It's an operations specialist. The description says they refine prompts and run analyses to improve model relevance and reduce errors.
That sounds remarkably technical. It sounds like they're treating language as code.
They are. It implies that prompting is moving toward engineering. It's about systematic testing, optimizing for consistency, and minimizing hallucinations through structured inputs.
It's not casual, it's structural.
Not at all. You aren't just asking a question. You are building a prompt architecture to get a repeatable business result.
And there was another one, the cloud security automation engineer.
Right. This role automates security checks and embeds policy as code. This connects back to our earlier point about safety. We aren't just relying on people remembering the checklist anymore.
Organizations are building the checklist into the code pipeline.
Exactly. It really shows that the Wild West era of Gen AI is ending. We are entering the era of professionalization and regulation.
Speaking of regulation, there is another section in the source material called the Playbook for the New Era of AI Regulation.
A 4-step readiness plan for businesses.
Walk us through that. What should organizations be doing right now?
First, inventory. You can't govern what you don't know you have. You need to map all the AI systems and data flows. Shadow AI, where employees use tools without IT knowing, is a huge problem here.
Right.
Second, lifecycle controls. So establishing protocols for testing and validation before a tool is deployed. Third, centralized policies. Don't have 5 different policies for 5 different departments.
One source of truth.
One source of truth for AI governance. And fourth, accountability, assigning clear owners for each system.
And this is all happening against a backdrop of global rules that are, frankly, a bit of a mess, aren't they?
It is a complex web. The infographic contrasts the EU's risk-based standard, which is the AI Act, with the U.S. approach, which is described as a patchwork.
A patchwork.
You have federal agencies like the FTC enforcing existing laws, while states like Colorado and California are creating new rules.
So if you are a global company, you can't just follow one rule book.
Exactly. Which is why the internal guidelines, the ones Felix Römer outlines, are so critical.
Yeah.
If you stick to the highest standard of data privacy and verification, you are generally going to be safe.
Just treat all data as if it were subject to GDPR.
That's a very good way to think about it, yes.
I want to touch on one specific sector mentioned in the guidelines, research and academia. The source is very specific about provenance.
This is huge for researchers, but I think it applies to any high-stakes professional work. The guidelines state clearly, journals do not accept tools as authors.
You can't list ChatGPT as a co-author.
No. But more importantly, you need to document provenance.
What does that look like in practice? Is it just keeping a log?
It means keeping a rigorous record. If a tool contributed materially to your project, say it wrote the code for your data analysis, you need to record the prompts you use, the version of the tool.
Like, was it GPT-4 or 4.0?
Exactly. And how you edited the output.
So you can't just show the final result, you have to show your work.
It's about reproducibility. If I want to replicate your study, I need to know exactly how the AI assisted you. Did the AI cherry-pick the data? Did the AI hallucinate a trend? Without the prompt history, I can't know. It's becoming a standard part of scientific integrity.
So what does this all mean for the listener? We've got the checklist, we've got the scary regulations, the new job titles. What is the strategic advantage here?
I think the argument the source material is making is that the winners in this new landscape won't be the organizations that ban AI.
Because they'll be too slow.
They'll be outpaced by competitors who can iterate 10 times faster.
But it also won't be the ones who use it recklessly.
No, because they'll get sued, they'll leak IP, or they'll make embarrassing public mistakes. The winners are the stewards.
The stewards.
Precisely. The strategic advantage lies in the mastery of stewardship. It's about balancing that efficiency versus integrity equation.
I like the way the article frames that balance. Use the tools to speed up the routine work, the drafting phase, but keep human judgment central for the final mile.
That final mile is where the value is. The AI gets you 80% of the way there in seconds, but the last 20%, the verification, the context, the ethical check, that is purely human.
And that 20% is becoming more valuable, not less.
Right. And that connects to the point about bias in the text.
How so?
AI output often contains stereotypes or omissions because it's trained on historical data and, well, history is biased.
So what here is that human critical thinking is the only defense against automating those biases.
Exactly. If you just copy-paste, you are amplifying the past's mistakes. If you use your judgment, you can correct them.
So the mantra really is trust but verify.
I would go a step further. Treat as draft, then verify. Never treat the output as a final product. It is always just a suggestion.
That is a great mindset shift. Instead of seeing the AI as a consultant giving you answers.
See it as a junior intern giving you a rough draft.
A very fast, very eager,
but slightly unreliable intern who has read the entire internet but doesn't understand any of it.
a dangerous combination.
Indeed.
As we wrap this up, I want to summarize the key actionable advice from Felix Römer's deep dive. If you take nothing else away from this, remember the environment.
Right. Choose the right environment. Public tools for public data only. Enterprise tools with the shield for internal data.
And approved provision platforms like Databricks for sensitive or regulated data.
And verify everything.
Everything. Facts, citations, figures. If your name is on it, you own it.
You own it.
Looking forward, where do you see this going? You mentioned the prompt operations specialist role earlier.
I think we are moving toward a world where AI usage is regulated and audited just like financial audits or safety checks. The existence of those roles suggests that prompting is hardening into a technical engineering discipline.
So it won't be enough to just say, I used AI?
No. You will likely have to demonstrate how you used it, prove that it was secure, and show the audit trail.
It's maturing. The novelty phase is over.
The playground is closing. The factory floor is opening.
That is a powerful image. And it leads me to a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. We talked about provenance tracking your work. In 2026, or even sooner, if you cannot prove the provenance of your work,
if you can't show the track changes of how you and the AI built something together,
will that work be trusted at all? Or will undocumented work be assumed to be hallucinated or stolen?
that is the question. In a world of infinite content, proof of process might become the ultimate premium.
Something to think about the next time you clear your chat history. We want to thank you for tuning in to this deep dive on the SmartKeys podcast.
It's been a pleasure.
If you want to dig deeper into the visuals we discussed, those great infographics on the future of work and the regulatory playbooks, you definitely need to check out the full article by Felix Römer. We have linked it in the show notes.
And while you're there, make sure to subscribe. The landscape is changing fast, and SmartKeys is a great resource to stay ahead.
Absolutely. Subscribe to the podcast, read the article, and keep your human in the loop. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.